Hello and welcome to day 28 of Adventures in Tarot Casting. I thought it would be neat today to look at one of the actual printed pages in our Creative Divination Sessions book. I created this book as a place to kind of carry around my casting boards with me. So in the pages, like what it has is it'll have like, of course I put my color versions on a lot of the pages, but it has printed versions, and then up on the top it'll tell you how to use them or how I use them. And so today I wanted to play around with the Temple of Lenormand, which is a spread that I kind of been toying around with for probably almost the last year. I use it more in a layered sense with my tarot, but for the sake of this, I felt it might be neat to show you, what if I don't have tiles? What if you don't have, you know, all these extra things, but you want to get a little bit more creative with your practice, right? So I like to learn the structures of a system and then play around with it in a way that it makes sense for me. And so for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to be using my Linocut Lenormand, which is the hand-carved version of Sawyer's Lenormand that basically I used, you know, all the images from the colorful deck and hand-carved them using a linoleum block printing method. So the images are the same. They're just simplified and kind of brought down for this method. And so for this layout, if you want to play along with me, just grab your Lenny deck, and I'm gonna show you how I place them out, right? For the sake of this, I'm not gonna choose a signifier. I'm going to allow the cards to just do a general feel for the center focus. And there are the two signifiers. In this deck, I have 4 signifiers, and I'm just gonna leave the alternates in here just in case they do show up. Because since it is a general reading and it's just kind of like fun play, sometimes they just have different energies, excuse me. So this layout came about with just stacking patterns, right? But there is a method to my madness. So if you will stay with me, I will show you how it goes. We're going to pull 3 cards first. And I always like to start with the center card, and then we do the others on the side. So we're going to shuffle. As you can see, I shuffle a little strange, but it's just what's comfortable for me. There's no right or wrong way to shuffle. You can do what feels best for you. Sometimes it doesn't always work well for me, but we'll see. And some people, what I've seen with Lenormand, they'll even like go like this and then just pick from there, you know. But so for this one, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do the center card, and this is your signifier, your focus. You can intentionally pick this card, like say you want some questions about your health or your relationship or just you in general. You can go through and pre-select this card, but for a general reading, I'm just going to flip it over. So we have the stork. And the stork talks about, let me show you that. The stork talks about like leveling up, moving on, migration. There's movement with this card, and it's a positive neutral, you know, like usually this is a good card in a reading. And then we're gonna do 2 and 3. So we've got the Rider and the Sun. Now these cards are not labeled, but if you look, the number is on the bottom corner, so it tells you. But so this is the Rider, and that talks about messages and arrival of news and all that. And then the Sun, which is a generally positive, you know, just resounding yes type of card. So what you do is now you have a 3-card chain. So you would read these 3 cards together before you place any others if you want. Or you can do the whole spread and then go through it that way. But I'm gonna just give a few keywords and then do the other cards, and then we're gonna get deep into the reading, right? So the general theme of this particular reading is what we're moving towards. Where are we migrating? Like, and so we got this message about it. It's coming, this new arrival of this. Maybe you got news yesterday of a promotion, and now you're going, oh, this is going to be a good promotion, right? Because Lenormand is short and sweet. It's like migrating, leveling up, promoting. You got the news about it, and it's a good thing. You know, the sun is like good energy. This is for your bright future, right? It can literally be that quick. And I know with Lenormand, a lot of times people who have a tarot mind, it's really hard to get on board with it because we want to look at all the little nuances. We want to say, but what about the clouds in the background? You forget about the clouds, right? You forget about the leaves. You forget about, I mean, you can bring them in, but initially it's the first thing, you know. So they're meant to be read together. And I feel like this is talking about us leveling up. We've gotten the news to level up, and it's going to be a bright spot in our future, right? So now we're going to lay down 4 more cards, and this is where the temple starts to build. And we've got these cards deepen 2 and 1, and then these cards deepen 1 and 3. So they add to the story. So we got 4 and 5. So that's moon and dog. You want to see those? Moon and dog. And so what I like to do is kind of like stack them together like this. And then we've got 6 and 7. So we've got cross and house. So let's bring this up. So here's the cross and the hand carved version and house. I was able to still get a lot of detail in them. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so let's stack these really nice. The pages are slightly smaller than what the cards actually are because just, you know, it's 11 by 14, so I can only get so much space on there. And this was before I was templating things for the actual book because they're just based off of boards that we had been making. So now we have this kind of, whenever I see this, I think of like our barbell shape, or let me do that so there's not a lot of glare. I think about like, kind of like a barbell shape, right? Like, so this is still the central focus. You can still pick this up. But now we have these 3 cards build upon the story of the arrival of the news, right? So these 2 together is talking about the promotion that came via a messenger. So whether it was an email, whether it was a note, remember, word of mouth, like however you receive that news of your leveling up, of moving away, of going to that next step in your life. And what is in the center of that is it's about your vocation, your spotlight. There's a spotlight on it. And perhaps it was because a friend put in a good word for you, right? So Moon talks a lot about, for me, it's like a spotlight on what is going on around it, but it can also be used as a card that talks about our job or our calling, our prophecy, you know. And then the dog is loyalty, friendship, companionship. So when I see this, I think about this was the arrival of this news came because of a friend, and maybe it was a work friend, right? And then going forward, you know, like I said, it's a bright spot in the future, but yeah, now I know you're focusing on this cross, and the cross is weighing down on your comfort, and you're thinking change is always, there's always a burden that comes with change, right? How is it going to affect your home life? How is it going to affect, you know, like right now you might be thinking of all the reasons why you shouldn't do this. However, the sun is after it. So it's saying this is still a good thing. Don't focus on the burden. Just know it might be there. Yeah, change always comes with some sort of trials that we have to go through. That could weigh down a little bit on your comfort zone and maybe a little bit on your family. Maybe you're going to be, maybe it requires you to travel. And so you're not going to be home as much as you would like to be. You know, these are all things that are coming into focus, right? And so now we're going to lay down the 8th card and the 9th card. So this is like a, you know, like a 3x3, but revisited. So it's still a 9-card spread. It just gives you different layout. And like I said, it's something that I came around with just by play, by creative play. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to put the 8 and 9 down. So we've got 8 and we've got anchor and 9 tree. And so anchor and tree. And this is why I like to use tiles, because they don't slide around as much as the cards. But again, I want you to be able to use this, and I hope you are doing it along with me. But if not, you can do it afterwards. So now we have this diamond shape. And this is why I call it the Temple of Lenormand, because we have the steps. It like reminds me of like walking up steps to a temple, right? And I'm just trying to get aesthetically walking up steps to this temple. But so now we have the 8 and the 9. And these, they add an overlying energy to the cards, plus they finish this present access line, this access point. So this is definitely some sort of promotion within your work. This is something that is going to be anchored in stability. And also it talks about maybe you're changing because there's some health issues going on with your current situation, or this could be your way of branching out. You know, all of this is for the benefit of your future, right? And so then you can pan back a little bit and say, if this is your present line, these 3, so the anchor, the stork, and the tree, what are words, right? So it's talking about your stability, of being able to move away, you know, promotion. I just feel like there's a promotion. So whoever this message really is for, congratulations, right? Because this is essential for your growth. So these cards can be read in that line. And this now is this past point. These 3 is your past, and then these 3 is the future. So like I said, we already kind of went over that. This is where, like in Lenormand, things can get a little bit redundant. So we know that this promotion arrived via somebody you trust. It was a spotlight on this news that you've been waiting for. It was delivered by somebody who is a trusted companion, whether they are a work friend, a good boss, something like that, right? And going forward, now you're in this state of, this is going to affect my home life a little bit. We're going to have to figure out some new things, which is why there's a trial going on. We have the feeling of burden weighing down on our home life, because with promotion comes sometimes more responsibility, right? But in the end, we have the sun, and the sun says that this is still a really good thing. And with this shape, so now we have, you know, the layers, and you think about how you can bring it all together, and you look in the different layers, and you could say, okay, we've already got this, you know, going forward, like this is the present. And then, you know, you just keep reading the layers as a passive influence. If you want to see a little bit more, you could see this card, and this card. So it's position 4, 1, and 7. You can say, okay, well, the spotlight is on your home comfort, and the catalyst has been the need to get this job, this level up, this new position. And then also with 5, 1, and 6, this is an indirect influence. It's saying that, yeah, it might be a burden, but you're still going to have this friend here. You're still going to have this person at your, you know, the wind beneath your wings, pushing towards it, being like, you've got this, you can get over this, you know, this trial. And then what I like about this layout, it kind of, the summation, I guess, or the advice is to read it in a diamond shape. So you would start here at the sun, and you read, this is how you got here. So you go the sun, the house, the tree, the dog, and the rider, right? So you say, this is the reflection. Now we're in this reflection point, you know, okay, but this is really good for our future. This is what I wanted. My home life is going to change, but that's okay, because I need to branch out. I've got my friends who support me and will help me through any messages, right? This is how you got here. And then this slingshots you back to the forward, back to the sun. And you're saying, okay, well, the rider, this is something to consider. You know, the messages that are coming are because of this, the spotlight on your work, your vocation. And especially with these 2 cards together, with the moon and the anchor, you're going, this is definitely focused around work and stability. And while there may be this trial that you have to go through, like you might have to prove yourself a little bit in this new position, everything in the end is going to be indicating a bright future. So I know it seems like a lot, but I promise if you play with it and you just see how the messages can layer out and read the cards together, you just know that once the cards start to become redundant, your reading is pretty much over. So, and it's, you know, I just love layering it. I mean, you could read these 3 together. You could be like, okay, rider, moon, you know, but we've already covered all that. So this is just a playful way. If you have Lenormand tiles, you can make a really big one. But I think starting out smaller is probably a little bit easier, and you can wrap your mind a little bit around it better. But yeah, so that's the Temple of Lenormand with cards, a new take on the 9-card spread. And like I said, this is in the Creative Divination book, but again, you don't need to have the book. You can just play around with the layout and see what the positions maybe in me demonstrating this, you're like, oh, I would read it this way. Go for it. Do it. You know, my whole point is to get you out of the box, get you out of the systems. I mean, the systems that are put before us, it's good to kind of familiarize yourself with it. I am not somebody who roots their practice in tradition. I like to use tradition as a guidepost and then see how it works for me, because I think about and I look about the world around us and how our today, while for us it's new and it feels like everything is how it is, it's not the same as it was when these systems were created. Yes, they've spawned and lasted the test of time, but I truly believe that cards and card systems and divination in general is meant to morph with us. It is there for us to give us reason and meaning. So don't get frustrated with yourself if you don't get it. Whatever you're getting out of it is very valid. And the more you work with it, the more you'll see what the cards actually mean for you. Like personally for me, the anchor card, while it does nod to work, a lot of people use these 2 cards for work. I personally use the Fox card because I am a small business owner and an entrepreneur. The Fox generally shows up in my personal readings as an entrepreneur card. But that doesn't mean that if I'm doing a reading for somebody else that it's an entrepreneur card. You know, it might be that sly, cunning deception. So work with the cards and see how they start talking to you and what they show up and how they want to be assigned, I guess, a meaning. And they will be consistent. You know, like tree is generally something for me that is talking about growth and reaching and branching out. It's not always focused on health issues for me. It's more about spiritual growth, leveling up, branching out, and just growing like a tree does, but it's kind of a slow progress, right? So anyway, I could keep babbling forever, but I am excited to share this with you, and I hope that you give it a test run. If you do, let me know how it went, and I will see you tomorrow. We only have a couple days left in this series. Bye.